Gentlemen, start your engines.
The command is given, and the most competitive field in Midwestern stock car history roars to life. As for the 8th consecutive year, the Automobile Racing Club of America will close out the season with a 204-lap shootout here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Stay tuned as the 1991 Series Championship is decided next in the Motorcraft Fast Lube 500. ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. If you travel just 30 miles south of Atlanta, Georgia, on U.S. Highway 1941, you'll find Atlanta Motor Speedway. Or will you? Even the most seasoned race fans couldn't believe their eyes as this track, first constructed in 1959, has been transformed over the past 6 months into one of America's premier super speedway showplaces. This neatly manicured mile-and-a-half oval serves as host today for the 20th and final event on the $1.6 million ARCA Tour. Hello everyone, I'm Jerry Punch and welcome to Atlanta Motor Speedway. And ever since 1984, the ARCA Series has had their curtain call right here in Atlanta. And today, what a shootout, a tremendously tight point battle. Young Bobby Boucher just 15 points back of Bill Venturini. Joining me now, two-time NASCAR champion Ned Jarrett. And Ned, what it all boils down to basically is 2 drivers, 1 race, and 1 championship.
Yes, and they're going to have to play a little conservative, I believe, Jerry. Both of them apparently came here in a conservative mode because they qualified pretty far back in the field. Now, Bobby Boucher knows that he has to finish at least a couple of positions in front of Bill Venturini, but still he has to be there at the end. So I think that's what we'll see both of those drivers do, trying to keep their cars in position to be there at the end of the race, hoping maybe the other one doesn't finish. It's going to be tough for them today because this is the best ARCA field I've seen in a long, long time. We have some drivers and some cars in there that are capable of winning that we haven't seen in the past, and that'll make that championship battle even more challenging for them.
Indeed it should, Ned. You know, for many years this series has been used as a proving ground, not just for young drivers to try to get some super speedway experience, but some of those seasoned Winston Cup teams using this race for research and development. Right, Benny Parsons?
Jerry, that's right. In the last 2 years, Richard Childress has used this race as R&D with Charlie Glossback as the driver. Junior Johnson said, wait a minute, Childress is getting an advantage on me, so he's entered Dick Trickle in one of his cars. A couple of weeks ago, Harry Mellon announced that Bill Parsons will be driving his car next year. That's the number 9 car. So he said, we're going to be raced in Atlanta. Why don't Bill run the ARCA race, get some seat time in one of our cars, so we'll know what we got for 1992. This is 3 guys that normally would not run the ARCA circuit. That's probably going to be 1, 2, 3 before the day is over.
One of the most competitive fields in the 29-year history of ARCA Super Speedway competition getting set to come your way from the newly refurbished Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's the Motorcraft Fast Lube 500. Today's Speed World coverage of this event brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one top motor oil. And by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? We'll be back with our die-hard starting lineup and 500 kilometers of super speedway racing action after this. Don't go away. We welcome you back to Atlanta Motor Speedway here at Hampton, Georgia. The curtain call, the 1991 motorsports season for ESPN. Let's take a look at our Sears die-hard starting grid. A couple of veteran drivers up front. 41-year-old Bob Shack picking up his 3rd pole of the year, and he will start on the pole. Dick Trickle, yes, the former Winston Cup Rookie of the Year and all-time short track winningest driver in America, starts outside row 1 in a Ford Thunderbird. Back to row 2. Roy Payne, the youngster who's been so impressive this year, he will win the Rookie of the Year honors in 1991 in ARCA. And Phil Parsons getting his first ride for Harry Melling, a car he will drive all next year in Winston Cup racing, a former winner in Winston Cup competition at Talladega. Back to row 3, Clay Young, who finished 2nd in this race a couple of years ago. Yes, he's the IMSA road racing competitor. And Dave Mader, he drove this same car to a dominating win up at Michigan this past June. Charlie Glossback, a defending winner of this race last November, starts inside row 4, along with Winston Cup veteran Eddie Beerswell. Back to row 5. T.W. Taylor, the NASCAR Sportsman Division driver, a registered pharmacist. He'll be a contender early on. And former series champion Bob Keselowski. Watch him make a move early in the race. As you look at the rest of the field, Ned, one of the most competitive fields we have seen. Back there's Bill Venturini inside row 7, and Bobby Boucher. That's the point man. They're trying to chase each other back in row 8.
Well, certainly starting that far back in the field is not going to be easy for them. And yes, there are some good cars back in the field, Jerry, that we can expect to see come up through there. We see Dennis Setzer, who has been a whiz on the short tracks for the last couple of years in different type of competition. Ben Hess, who is always a strong contender in this ARCA series, starting back there in the 13th row.
Mark Gibson, former Rookie of the Year, back there in the car number 77. Jeff McClure runs often on the Busch Grand National Circuit, making his first ARCA start. Bob Dauber, a three-time ARCA champion. Ken Reagan, who finished second here in the spring, he will start the Rubrite car, who wants to run for Rookie of the Year next year.
And there's Bobby Gearhart with the provisional start. His car would not start today, Jerry. They have pushed him behind the wall, so they're 41 to make this start.
And a mile and a half ovals, we said. Pole speed, 175.222 miles per hour. Not a record here. Race length, 204 laps, 312 miles. That's 500 kilometers. Field separation, just 2.1 seconds. Getting set for the green flag. Oldsmobile, the inside of row 1 with Bob Shack, the winningest active driver in ARCA Speedway history. 15 career wins, and beside him, the Junior Johnson-owned Ford Thunderbird. Dick Trickle at 49 years of age. The 1989 NASCAR Winston Cup Rookie of the Year, 42 strong side by side. It's the curtain call for ARCA in Atlanta, and the green flag flies. Stock cars thundering by at 180 miles an hour, and Bob Brebeck, a defending series champion, he is struggling. His car slowing on the track, and here's a battle. Lloyd Payne being passed by Dave Mader in the car number 11. No surprise at all. Mader, one of the strongest cars on the speedways all year long.
He started in 6th position, Jerry. He now has moved up to the 4th position. Leading this race is Bob Shack. Bill Parsons with a good start, running in 2nd place. Dick Trickle dropped back to 3rd on the start.
Trickle's car sliding up a little bit. There you see Bob Shack on the left of your screen. Phil Parsons.
Caution is on the Speedway. Perhaps for the Bob Brebeck car, which is over in turn 3. He couldn't get the car up to speed. It's coasting to a stop going into turn 3. So the first caution of the day. There we see the race Buick number 34, Bob Brebeck.
And Brebeck, a tough break for him. He has not had a very good year after picking up 2 wins in the Series Championship a year ago. He has gone winless in 1991, and here in the early laps, his car rolls to a halt over in turn 3. We'll wait for him to get that car started. Meanwhile, we'll take this break from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Under caution for the first time today. Lots of stock car racing action yet to come. Stay with us. We welcome you back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, and yours truly, Jerry Plunge. In the early laps here, 5 laps complete. As you take a look at the top 15 and see that Bob Shack is our leader, we're getting set for more green flag racing action. We went to commercial a minute ago, and Bob Brebeck had experienced problems in the early laps. His car rolling to a halt over in turn 3. The car eventually erupted into flames, and that flame was put out. His car now has been pushed back behind the wall. As you see, that scorched hood on the race glazed Buick of the 1990 ARCA Series champion Bob Brebeck having a tough beginning here in Atlanta. Getting set for green flag racing action. Bob Shack, 41-year-old driver, originally from Chicago, Illinois, now makes his home in Chapin, South Carolina. Will lead Phil Parsons out of turn 4. 5 laps complete. It will come down to complete lap number 6 as Doyle Ford will wave the green flag.
Dick Trickle got a little better start that time. He's running in 3rd place. As Parsons moves up and trying to make the bid on Bob Shack.
running in second spot. Trickle now getting a little bit of pressure from Dave Mader. Here's Bill Venturini in the car number 25. He begins to move in a little bit on Bob Keselowski. Two veteran ARCA competitors, both former champions. Venturini won it in 87. Keselowski won it in 89.
He's running in 9th place, Jerry. He started 13th, so Venturini maybe not running quite as conservative as I thought he might. But I'm sure that the car feels comfortable to him, but he wants to keep those leaders in sight. Because Bobby Bowser has dropped back in the field.
There's Roy Payne, the Chrysler LeBaron, Rookie of the Year contender. Up in front of them, the challenge is for third spot. The car number 2 is Dick Trickle, the Junior Johnson-owned car, and Dave Mader in the car number 11. That's the Buick owned by Clint Folsom.
And look at Mader really come up on him through the turns, Jerry. I don't think the Trickle car is handling quite the way he would like for it to in the center of the turn. You'll see him again as they go into turn 1. Trickle went out just a little bit, but when they get in the center of the turn and start off, that's where Mader picks up. You can see it begins to pick up a little bit there now. As they come off the turn, he had a notion to go by on the outside, but there was not room out there, so he falls in behind Trickle.
Now you heard Benny Parsons mention at the top of the show, this is an R&D situation for some of these Winston Cup teams, and that's one of those situations he was speaking about. That is Dick Trickle driving a Junior Johnson-owned car, and they have a Warren Prout chassis, and it's one of those hybrid front steer, rear steer chassis that they've been working with for a few years, and this one apparently not working real well early in the race. They'll try to get that one dialed in.
Looks to me like the car might be a little bit tight there in the turns. It's probably a little speed off, but I think as the race goes on, that might work to his advantage.
There's the 49-year-old driver, oldest Winston Cup Rookie of the Year.
That was a couple of years ago.
4 cars all together out of turn 4.
They're pulling away a little bit from the 5th place car of Charlie Wattsback. And the drafting very definitely plays a part on this racetrack, Jerry, at the speeds they run, because they qualified at 175 miles an hour. So that means they're running upwards of 190 miles an hour on these short straightaways.
There's a 16 of Roy Payne, the Chrysler LeBaron. Young man who will be Rookie of the Year this year. Starting third and has had a good finish. His best Speedway finish coming here early in the year. Behind him, the car number 23, that's Eddie Beerswell. He finished third in Texas, their last Super Speedway event. Beerswell will try to make a move beneath him, and his automobile can't quite pull it off.
Look at the Chrysler going very high in the turns. Roy Payne, car number 16, that gives some room down on the inside for Beerswell. They almost touch coming off the turn 2. Beerswell will get him going into turn 3.
Beerswell will take the spot away.
The Auto Finders. Oldsmobile. There's a Beerswell driver.
That's 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th right together. You see right behind him is Clay Young in the car number 5. He's the former IMSA competitor. 2-time IMSA American Challenge Series champion. Built by one of the slower cars out in turns 1 and 2. There are the 7th and 8th place, 9th place cars.
And then right at the tail end of that pack is Bill Venturini in the Alico. Well, that's the Nestle Quick car.
He would be in 11th place right now, then Venturini trying to crack the top 10.
He had an ST on that car all year long, but Nestle Quick, same company, the Nestle's Corporation, just changed the name brand on this car for this final race, hoping that the driver is sponsored all year long can come home with a championship.
And he plans to continue at ARCA for the full 1992 season and hopefully run a limited Winston Cup schedule. That's the 11th place car. We'll pan up and show you exactly where our lead machine is coming out of turn 4, and that is Bob Shack. At 41 years of age, he's a car builder. He has 3 race cars in the field today. He has a car driven by Jeff McClure, number 54, and also the Mike Davis car, number 9, are owned by him. So he said it could be either a great day for me or an awful day for me. I could totally wipe out my racing stable. But right now, he's having a pretty good afternoon. We're in the early laps here at Atlanta Motor Speedway as Bob Shack is showing the way with a 2-car lead over Phil Parsons. More from Atlanta after this. ARCA Permatex Series action from Hampton, Georgia, here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Second caution flag today being worked for a violent collision in turn 2. Now these cars battling for 8th, 9th, and 10th. Clay Young, the car number 5. The 29 is Bob Keselowski. Now coming out of turn 2, they touch, and Young's Pontiac begins to spin. Keselowski and Venturini make it by, but watch behind as Young, Craig Rubright, a rookie driver, will T-bone Clay Young in the left side of the car. They spin around, and let's take a look from a different angle, Ned.
Well, of course, he slides back out in front of Rubright, but, Jerry, there is room on the high side of that racetrack, but being a rookie, he didn't really know what to do, and he drove right into him, a hard lick. And then, of course, behind them, some of the cars start coming in there. Nowhere to go. They start jockeying for position. There is, in the blue and white car, is Clifford Allison getting hit, and the car 04 of Mike Wallace up on the outside, and T.W. Taylor getting hit also, and he comes down to the inside of the racetrack.
So at least a half a dozen cars involved in that impact off of turn 2. T.W. Taylor getting damage on his car. Mike Wallace's car spun. Apparently he will be able to resume. Heavy damage for Craig Rubright and, of course, Clay Young. Getting set for more green flag racing action. Showing 22 laps in the books here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Glad to have you with us on this ARCA Permatex season finale here. The Motorcraft Fast Lube 500.
Here's Phil Parsons trying to make a move on Bob Shack. Shack had led every lap up to this point. Parsons has been right there with him, but he just has not been able to mount much of a challenge to him.
Now Dick Trickle will begin to move a little bit in closer on Phil Parsons, a pair of Ford Thunderbirds. Trickle will try to take the inside route of turn 4. They are door to door, headed for the stripe.
Right on his bumper is the car number 11 of Dave Mater. Parsons caught up in the high groove. Sometimes that's not a bad place to be. You get a good run off of that turn. That's exactly what Phil Parsons did that time. Got a good run, picked up the draft off Charlie Glotzback. I keep calling him Charlie Glotzback. That's Dick Trickle in Junior Johnson's car. And here is Beerswell moving on the inside of Mater. Boy, they are close.
Eddie Beerswell, 32 years of age in the Auto Finder Oldsmobile, had a great run in this same car at Texas World Speedway back on September 22nd. You see just creeping into the picture there is Bill Venturini, our current point leader, the 1987 ARCA Series champion. He's running right behind Roy Payne. And now Mater makes a move to the inside of Beerswell. They're really mixing it up in the top 5.
Mater got caught there a moment ago in that traffic, Jerry, and Beerswell got on the inside of him. I think his car might be a little bit faster, and I think too Bill Venturini's car is faster than we have seen. He, however, needs to be a little conservative, but he wants to go as hard as he can and not take any unnecessary chances.
Front 3 cars have broken away a little bit. There's the battle for 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th as Mater in a Buick. Then comes Beerswell in the Oldsmobile. The Chrysler of Roy Payne goes very high in turns 1 and 2, getting a run up off the racetrack. They are in 4th and 5th place, or make that 5th and 6th place. There's Eddie Beerswell, who finished 3rd, as I said, at Texas World Speedway, his ARCA debut. Former Winston Cup competitor, is a mortician in Texas, and really enjoys racing here on the East Coast whenever he gets a chance.
5th, 6th, and 7th, but you can see just coming out of the screen was Dave Mater. Once he got around Beerswell, he took off and left him. As a matter of fact, he might be the fastest car on the racetrack. That 11 car you can see in the left of your screen is really gaining on the leaders. This, of course, is 5th, 6th, and 7th. Beerswell, car number 23, Roy Payne, 16. Now Venturini wants to make a move down on the inside. I think that those 2 cars might be holding him up a little bit, Jerry, but he just still doesn't want to take any chances, which is smart. He doesn't need to be taking chances at this time of the race.
Well, 204 laps this race today, this 500-kilometer event. We're just completing lap 28, so a lot of laps to go, and Venturini will take the high road. Remember, even though he thinks Roy Payne's a great young driver, Payne is still a rookie competitor. And now he's moved around him as Payne has dropped off the pace.
Yeah, he's off the pace. He pulled down to the inside of the racetrack. Very smart. Got out of the fast groove. Something wrong with the Chrysler. Boy, that car has qualified so good all year long. Had some awfully good runs. But it looks like now that he has some sort of a mechanical problem. Something has slowed him. He does not come into the pits. He stays out there, but off the pace.
You know, back in the spring here, he had a problem with the car as well. Running awfully well and had engine problems late in the race with 20 laps to go. There's Bobby Boucher, the young man who is 25 years of age, just 15 points back. He's being shown in the 8th position, just in front of Richie Petty. Yes, that is Richard Petty's nephew, the son of Maurice Petty, famed engine builder. And Richie Petty in only his 4th career ARCA start. Started at Michigan this year. Also ran at Texas World Speedway. Had a great run going at Michigan on ESPN. Then had some motor problems late in the race.
And running very well here. That famous Petty Blue on that car number 41. The Pro Set Racing Cars Pontiac that he's driving.
That's 8th and 9th. We'll move back up and show you the point leader. The man Bobby Bowser is chasing as he moves inside of Eddie Bierswell. The big Nestle's Quick Chevrolet Lumina of Bill Venturini taking away that spot. That's the 5th position. And they are nip and tuck in front of them up there for 4th spot. As you said it a minute ago, Ned, maybe one of the quickest cars on the racetrack, that car number 11 of Dave Mader.
Yeah, he was about a second and a half behind the leaders when he got by Bierswell, and he just took off and left and caught the leaders, and now has passed Phil Parsons, has moved into 3rd place. So that car on the move, Dave Mader. Good battle back in the field. There's Bierswell. He has had traffic all around him from the drop of the green flag. Coming up now is Bob Keselowski in car number 29 on the outside of the car number 33 of Dale McDowell.
Now, Keselowski was one of the cars involved in that crash out of turn 2. In fact, he and Clay Young coming together. He pitted a moment ago and is at least 1 lap down. The car number 29, the former series champion. So he is running in that battle behind Bierswell, but he is not on the lead lap.
Like he has a fast car, he just moves up behind and now moves on the inside. But he has a lot to make up being a lap down.
Back up front, Bob Shack holding on to the lead, but starting to get a little more pressure from Dick Trickle in the car number 2.
Jerry, I think Trickle's car is beginning to come in a little bit now. We mentioned that we thought he was a little tight at the beginning of the race. Look at him now. He's able to cut the car, move down on the inside, move up on the inside of Bob Shack. Let's see if he can hold it as they head down the backstretch into turn 3. See who outdrives each other, who outnerves each other going into that turn. Shack drives on in there pretty hard, but Trickle gets a good line down on the inside. But look, right on his back bumper is Mader.
Now it's a 3-car draft, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and Phil Parsons sitting back here just watching the 2 in front of him. That's Phil Parsons back there in the Harry Melling Ford Thunderbird, the car number 18, and now Mader trying to decide, should I make a move or should I follow Trickle? No, I'll follow Trickle and see what he's going to do coming out of turn 2.
Well, those 4 cars really going at it here right now, but Shack has been the man of the hour so far.
Bob Shack, who has won 3 poles this year and has had one of the fastest cars every time he's run it, but he has yet to win. Can he hold on? We'll find out when we come back. Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and yes, we mentioned Bob Shack might not be able to hold on, and he hasn't. His car has gone to pit road and possibly a problem. The crew now going to work on that car. Tom Reet, the crew chief down there. Shack, our pole sitter. This has been the story with him all year long. One of the fastest cars in the field, but he has encountered problems. At Pocono, he was on the pole. At Michigan, on the pole with a new track record, and he has had problems here at Atlanta. Let's check in with Benny Parsons. Benny?
Jerry points, they're changing 4 tires. They've been around the right side, now they're around to the left. The lug nuts are off, but this has been an unscheduled pit stop, a slow pit stop, because they've had to get crews from all around the Winston Cup garage here. The guys are not familiar with each other, and it's been a slow pit stop. They finally got the lug nuts tight, and Bob Shack is out. We'll check and see if the tires are back where flat, Jerry.
Well, Benny, he lost 2 laps during that, at least 2 laps during that unscheduled stop. So, boy, his work is really cut out for him now if he's going to get back and stick this thing for the win.
And then when we went to break a minute ago, he was leading and seemed to be the strongest horse on the racetrack. But apparently, as you just heard Benny Parsons say, they had a tire problem. Because coming off turn 2, you see Shack going into 1, was the leader with Trickle behind him, and Dave Mader.
Then the car goes a little high for Bob Shack, as if maybe he had a tire going down. Trickle moves to the inside, and Dave Mader in the car number 11 will follow suit as well. And eventually he was passed by the front 3 cars, and then he began to drop back and eventually came into the pits.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned the fact that there are 2 different tire companies here today. The pole sitter, the car you just saw pit a minute ago, is on Hoosier tires. These 2 cars that had some trouble early on in the first few laps are on the Goodyear radial tires. And these 2 cars are really coming into their own right now. These radial tires taking well to this high-banked oval.
I think that's what we have seen as the race has gone on. Once they got those tires really seated in, the car of Trickle especially looked a little bit tight at the beginning. Now, as they heat those tires up, the track seems to be coming to him, and The car is working well. You can see he can hold it in the center of the track if he needs to. But Mater, I'll tell you, is right there in every turn.
Dave Mater in the car number 11. That car owned by Clint Folsom. It's a Buick Regal. Engines by Carl Wegner. Freddie Fryer, the famous short track competitor from the Southeast, is the crew chief on that car.
Look at him come through the turn, down on the inside, really pick up on Dick Trickle. But he can't build enough momentum coming off the turn to get up beside of the Ford of Trickle, which has a lot of horsepower down the straightaway.
We mentioned the R&D program. J.B. Raines, who is the engine builder for that car number 2, the Junior Johnson-owned car of Dick Trickle, told me they are using the new tunnel port heads, the brand new heads for this car that are not yet legal in NASCAR. Here's Dave Mater, the 1991 results. He's had 4 starts, and of course that win at Michigan in dominating style.
3 top 5s. Here he comes down on the inside. He might have enough momentum this time. No, it doesn't. Not quite. He is picking up in the turns, but that straightaway speed of Trickle is getting him, even though the straightaways here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway are only a quarter of a mile in length. Each turn takes up a half a mile, and he's going to use that half a mile to his advantage now coming off of turn 2.
They're door to door. It's a drag race down the backstretch now. Trickle has the advantage up high, but Mater takes the short route and hugs the bottom groove. Traffic in front of him out of turns 3 and 4. They move in on some slower race traffic and a heavy pack of traffic as they come down the straightaway, but Dave Mater will take the lead.
Trickle's car still not staying down on the inside of the track like the car of Mater. And Bob Shack is back in the pit area. Benny Parsons?
Ned, it looks like they're checking to see if they have a wheel loose or something. Evidently, the car has developed a vibration, and they really don't know what it is. As we see Dick Trickle passing the 11 car of Dave Mater, they're looking at the race car. They cannot find what the vibration is. Meanwhile, their pole sitter looks like he might be out for the day.
Well, those guys are having some fun up front. First, it was Mater passing Trickle. Trickle now has moved back around Mater. When they get in that traffic, we mentioned that Mater's car seems to be a little better in the turns. That'll work to his advantage in the traffic. Watch him come down on the inside. Couldn't build enough momentum that time, though. He had to fall back behind. Boy, this is going to be interesting, Jerry.
A lot of traffic. There's Mark Thompson in the car number 62. They're trying to weave their way through and be very careful. Lee Raymond, a former series champion or 2-time series champion in the car number 1, has Mater boxed in back there. He's trying to work his way through. That's the heavy traffic I was talking about a minute ago. These guys have to be very careful because there are some very inexperienced drivers in this field.
Yes, they are, and I'll tell you, drafting does play a major role here, but they're not thinking about that right now. They're just thinking about finding a groove or a hole open in the track, and boy, Trickle thought he had one, but he closed up on him, and here comes Mater up on the outside. He has Trickle bucked down on the inside.
Now Mater can't go anywhere, and Trickle was able to move down inside the car number 78. That is Scott Bloomquist, the dirt track ace from Tennessee. And now Trickle will slide between 2 cars. Mater will try it on the inside. A slow car down on the bottom of the track. And they make it through.
I'll tell you, those years of short track experience paid off right there for Dick Trickle. He saw that hole begin to open. When he made that move, that hole was not open, but he saw it was going to open. He moved right on the inside of one, up on the outside of another. Beautiful piece of driving.
1,200 short track wins for Dick Trickle. And of course, that's how you do it, by anticipation. And he knew exactly where to go. Exciting ARCA racing action on a beautiful Saturday afternoon here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. More after this. Exciting CFA college football action coming your way on ESPN Live at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time as the Razorbacks of Arkansas take on the Aggies. R.C. Slocum's Texas A&M crew trying to hold on for that Cotton Bowl bid. That's tonight at 7:30. Then at 10:30 p.m., the Thrifty Car Rental Holiday Bowl. Selection will occur from the winner of this game. BYU versus San Diego State out at Jack Murphy Stadium. That's CFA college football tonight at 10:30 p.m. And the legendary Junior Johnson watching his car and got to be enjoying the afternoon here in the beautiful sunshine of Atlanta Motor Speedway. His Ford Thunderbird showing the way here in this ARCA event. But the car number 11 of Dave Mater giving him no breathing room whatsoever. Mater just about a car length back in second.
And of course, that's Dick Trickle driving the car number 2 that's owned by Junior Johnson, the Motorcraft Baby Ruth Ford. And Mater continues to keep the pressure on as they continue to lap the field, Jerry. They've lapped about everything but, what, the 13th or 14th place cars.
Some of the drivers out of the race, Clay Young involved in an accident, Craig Rubright, T.W. Taylor, Bob Breback, last year's series champion. And behind the wall getting some work, the car number 16 of Roy Payne, and the car number 79, that is John Todd.
Now, Jerry, they'll have pit stops coming up here, I think, within the next 10 laps, and it has to be comforting to Dick Trickle to know that he has one of the best pit crews in the business. Here's pit stops already starting. Here's Richie Petty holding out the 43 sign for him. He came in slow, 55 miles an hour is the speed limit designated for pit road today as they change the right side tires on the Pontiac number 40. In fact, they're going to all 4 tires. Nope, they decided not to do that. A little miscommunications there. That cost them some extra time.
Well, Richie Petty's crew chief is his younger brother, Mark. Richie's only 23 years of age. Of course, there's Richie. Best ARCA finish, 14th at Pocono a couple of years ago, making just his 3rd start in ARCA here in 1991. Now somewhat of a challenge. Whoa, they nearly touch. It's just tight as now Trickle decides to go to the high side. You see a lot of traffic there. Eddie Beerswell, the car number 23. He's trying to maintain himself on the lead lap.
And he is currently running in the 5th, no, I beg your pardon. He is being shown in the 22nd position. He has lost a couple of laps down.
Here's Clifford Allison, the car number 12. He is really on the move. He was involved earlier in that incident, had a little bit of a sheet metal.
And there's trouble up in turn 4. Car number 62, Mark Thompson, is one of those cars involved. And he comes right in the pit stop window. We saw Richie Petty, and boy, that's a bad break for him that he had already made his pit stop, but now others will be able to make theirs during a caution flag.
Let's see again what may have happened up in turn 4 a minute ago. A couple of cars, the 51 involved, that is Dave Simcoe. You mentioned Thompson's car is showing there in the flames, Ned.
Yes, the flame erupts and then it puts itself out as it slides down off the track, and then there's a car sliding through the grass down on the inside.
That appears to be the car number 20 of Keith Wade, the red car that slid to the inside. There's a 62. Mark Thompson from Cartersville, Georgia, driving Henley Gray's Oldsmobile.
A lot of damage to that car, and of course we saw the flames as the crew's in the pits now. That's Dick Trickle's crew getting ready for pit stops.
We would expect to possibly see under caution 4 tire changes. They have closed pit road. Remember, the ARCA cars running under the NASCAR Winston Cup rules where pit road is closed until they are able to get the pace car on track to slow them down. But in this case, Ned, it's probably closed because of the damage. And those cars, you see those safety trucks parked up there toward turn 4 at the entrance to pit road.
Yeah, that's exactly why they're holding pit road closed right now, is because of the safety vehicles up there while they attend to those drivers.
So we're under caution for the 3rd time of the day here in lap 61 at Atlanta Motor Speedway, getting set for the first round of pit stops when we come back after this. Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway, Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, and Jerry Punch. Routine pit stops for the first time today under caution flag, and our leader at the top of your screen, Dick Trickle. Junior Johnson crew now servicing that car. On the bottom of your screen, Dave Mater's crew getting a 4-tire change on the Buick as well. Now left side work on the Trickle car. Tim Brewer, they're taking the left front tire off. Junior Johnson rolls that Goodyear Eagle up there. They are finishing the left side tires. As Mater's crew has already finished, that car is down and away. Trickle's car now moves from its pits, but Trickle was pitting further toward turn 1, so his car, the first of those 2, back on the racetrack, Ned.
And Bill Venturini had stayed out on the racetrack, Jerry, hoping to pick up 10 bonus points in ARCA racing for leading a lap. But he came in the next time and came down pit road too slow, didn't even get up to 55 miles an hour. Of course, he was behind some other cars, but the leader, those who had already pitted, came across the start-finish line first, so he didn't get those 10 bonus points. And now he's still at the back end of the lead pack, which there are 11 cars now in the lead lap.
Well, the best laid plans sometimes, Dan, just didn't work out for him. You're not allowed to pass anyone on pit road, and he passed a car, he would have been black flagged, so he was pretty helpless there. And unfortunately, they actually scored, I guess, Phil Parsons as the leader of that lap. They're 2 by 2 over in turn 3, getting set for a restart here. 65 laps being shown complete, 204 of this 312-mile, 500-kilometer event. Green flag waves once again from Doyle Ford and Jim Clark atop the flag stand. We're back to racing action at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Trickle takes off this time, and here comes Charlie Glotzback up on the outside of Dave Mater. Glotzback beginning to flex his muscles in the Floyd Garrett Chevrolet.
We talked about the R&D programs. Charlie Glotzback driving the car number 28. It says Floyd Garrett on the side of the car, but it's prepared by Richard Childress, his crew, and it has a spinning Clendenin engine out of Richard Childress Racing Enterprises there in Kannapolis, North Carolina.
Jerry, I think they needed this pit stop. The heat was back there in 5th position, not a threat to those running up front, but Charlie Glotzback normally is a threat, but I don't think the car was handling too good, but now the car seems to be on the go. Here's some racing back in the pack.
Tied racing action, Tim Fidua, a rookie driver, 1991 ASA Rookie of the Year, driving the car number 55 in heavy traffic. His car is the red and white number 1 car number 55 on the inside. Eddie Beerswell going around him.
Beerswell had made an unscheduled pit stop under green just before the caution. And here is the car number 11 of Dave Mader trying to move back up on Charlie Glotzback. Glotzback went around him there a moment ago, but Mader trying to get back up. He had to back off a little bit going into turns. There's Trickle out front in the car number 2. Glotzback in the black Chevrolet number 28 and the Buick number 11 of Dave Mader.
Charging Charlie Glotzback at 53 years of age. His 5th start in ARCA competition in 1991. Of course, he dominated this race back last November and goes very high in turns 1 and 2. That's the opening that Mader needed. We'll see if Mader has the horsepower and the muscle to pull it off down the backstretch. Buick on the inside.
A car that blew an engine going into turn 1, but here, and that was Bobby Bowser. A lot of smoke coming from the championship challenger, and it looks like he's out of it as we see this battle for second place up front. No caution. Yes, there is a caution right now coming out as they battle back to the line, not knowing if there's oil on the track, but Bobby Bowser's championship battles might have gone up in smoke, Terry.
It might have been. 25-year-old Bobby Bowser, second-generation driver whose father, Jack, won the championship 3 times at 63, 64, and 65. He brings that Ford Thunderbird down pit road. You know, he went into Texas next to the last event with a 95-point lead. He had an engine go away out there on lap 87. He lost not only his 95-point lead, but he lost an additional 15 points to Bill Venturini. And if he has engine trouble today, it could all be over. Car number 21 has come on the pit road, and let's go down to Benny Parsons.
Jack, doesn't look too good, does it?
Sure doesn't, Benny.
Blew an engine?
Looks like it, doesn't it?
Was this a trick engine trying to get a little more horsepower, trying to get up and past Venturini?
No, it was just all brand new engine, Benny.
Just one of yours, or where'd he come from?
Prototype.
They're pushing behind the wall?
Looks like it.
Sad guys down here, Jerry.
Indeed they are. You know, and Bobby Bowser told me that he never has named his race cars, but he needed so much luck this weekend, he decided to name this new car Brittany for luck after his 14-month-old daughter. And Bobby, it just didn't work for you, my friend, as he parks it, and Bill Venturini will become the 1991 ARCA Series National Champion. We'll be back with more ARCA racing action from Atlanta Motor Speedway. 71 laps complete, 20 remain after this. Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway for ARCA Permatex Series action, and young Bobby Bowser's chance at a championship has gone up in smoke. Let's go down to Benny Parsons.
Bobby, no championship in 1991.
Well, it's tough to take, but, you know, we was running pretty good. Had a little chassis problem. We was getting that figured out, but, you know, that's just the way things are. You can't do nothing about it. My hat goes off to Bill Venturini. He did a heck of a job all year, and we'll go get him at Daytona.
1991 was a good year for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had 4 wins, and I consider the Springfield, Illinois race one of my biggest wins. But, yeah, it was a good year for the team, and I think this will probably just make it stronger for next year.
Jerry, they say you got to lose one before you can win one. So in 1992, we'll see if Bobby Bowser be in victory lane with a championship.
Indeed, a classy youngster from a very classy family. Lots of racing action yet to come your way on ESPN as the Hardee's 500 comes tomorrow at 12:40 p.m. Eastern Time. And yes, that Goodrich Chevrolet with Dale Earnhardt, he simply has to make it to the track in the morning, climb through that window, and flip the switch for the green flag to become the 1991 Winston Cup champion, his 5th championship of his career, and that $1 million prize he will collect on the stage there at the Waldorf Astoria. You will see that on ESPN, of course, next month. Getting set for more racing action here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Safety car pulls out of turn 4.
Now, Jerry, there are just 10 cars on the lead lap, and Phil Parsons is at the back of that 10-car pack that are on the lead lap. He pitted before, on that last caution before this one, before the pits were open because he had to pit, so he has to come up through the field.
Trickle leading the charge down in turn 1. Don't count Phil Parsons out by any stretch of the imagination. One car having some trouble up high. Looks to be the Dave Mader car. That car apparently has a tire going down. He was the second place car, and his car not coming up to speed, and the speculation there would be what? Maybe he has a tire going down?
Yeah, I would say that he has the tire going down, and you can't feel that during the caution flag with the inner tires that they run on these cars, Jerry. You just can't feel it till you get up to speed, and when he went into turn 1, he knew something was wrong. It might not be a flat tire, but that's a speculation at this time. Car number 54 coming around in front of him. That is the car of Jeff McClure. And Mader now comes down pit road. McClure gets out of the way. And boy, he hates to make that left turn to come down pit road, come into his pits. And the crew goes over to change the right side tires.
That's Freddie Fryer and the crew there. Grady Humphreys are working on that Clint Folsom Buick. A tough break, and he will go a lap down as the leader's now coming off turn 4 while he sits on pit road helplessly for that right side tire change. Wide now just the leaders have just passed the start-finish line. The red car to the right of your screen, that is Dick Trickle. Motorcraft sponsored Ford Thunderbird out of the Junior Johnson stable.
Now the 11 car of Dave Mader is going back down pit road. He will not lose but 1 lap. He'll be a little over a lap and a half behind once he gets up to speed, Jerry, but he'll need a caution to get caught back up, and then he'll need another caution after that if he's able to pass the leader at that time. So, boy, he has a lot of making up to do.
He has got to get that car up to speed because Trickle is coming in a hurry. Now Trickle will not be able to catch him, and now his car's up to speed out of turn 2. Trickle just entering turn 1 at car number 2. Their speeds are averaging about 173 miles an hour. What kind of speeds will they run down the backstretch here, Dick?
They'll get close to 190 miles an hour, Jerry, even though these turns are banked 24 degrees and they're long and sweeping. They can go through at a real high rate of speed, but they do have to decelerate going into these turns. So somewhere between 185 and 190 miles an hour on the straightaways.
And there's the ARCA Series champion, Bill Venturini, in the car number 25 at 38 years of age, the Nestle's Quick Chevrolet Lumina, picking up his second series championship. He won it back in '87, and not the way he wanted to win it, I'm sure. Bill Venturini, one of the nicest guys you'd want to meet in the ARCA garage area. He's currently being shown in 6th position, and he has got to be happy in the car, and I bet they're happy in the pits. Let's check in down there with Benny Parsons.
Kathy Venturini, congratulations on the 1991 championship.
Thank you, Benny.
Did you tell him to stand on it now he's a champ?
Oh, yes. He's here to win the race, and we knew if we won the race, we'd win the championship. And that's what he's going to do, is win the race. He's going all out.
You think he can pass Trickle?
It's going to be tough, but you know how races go. You get the right brakes and the right moves, you can do it. So we're just going to hang in there and keep going.
Positive attitude down here, Jerry.
Indeed, and that young man, talking about Venturini, has come back from so much adversity. Remember his first Winston Cup start back in '89 at Michigan? He hit the wall on lap 71 and broke a vertebrae in his neck. He's had to come back from that to be a very competitive driver.
And he's running in a lot of traffic. It looks like he has turned the wick up. There's that 12 car of Clifford Allison, who has been strong. He stayed in the lead lap, Jerry, and running right there with Venturini, and the car number 55 of Tim Fedua, who is being shown in the fourth position now.
Good run for Fedua. Tim Fedua, the 1991 ASA Rookie of the Year, just 24 years of age. In fact, his first ever ARCA start. This car is owned by Ray and Diane DeWitt. In fact, they went over and bought this car, lock, stock, and barrel, a turnkey operation this past Tuesday from Bud Moore. It's a Bud Moore Ford and engine whole combination they brought here to Atlanta, and the youngsters are doing a pretty good job with that car.
Doing a great job. Tim Fedua, car number 55, the red car, right in the center of that action that we're watching. Bill Venturini in car number 25 right behind him.
And we'll show you, that's that battle back there for 4th and 5th as Venturini moves in on Fedua. And we'll show you our lead cars as those cars entering up in turn 3. And we'll back off and see our leader just crossing the start-finish line. The interval, about 2/3 of a lap. As the car number 2 of Dick Trickle showing the way here at lap 83 from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Dick Trickle holding off the veteran, charging Charlie Glotzback as we approach the halfway point here in Atlanta. More after this. Beautiful afternoon for racing at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Dick Trickle having a great afternoon in that Motorcraft Ford of Junior Johnson's. Lots of traffic, lots of racing action coming your way. There is Tim Fedua, and a car spinning in front of Fedua. It's Bloomquist.
And Bill Venturini, car number 25, gets into it as Fedua goes around in the red car. Bloomquist down on the inside. There's Clifford Allison getting slowed down. how much damage are done to these cars. Battling for 4th and 5th place, Tim Feeder was in 4th, and the car number 25. There you can see damage to the Nestle Quick Chevrolet of Venturini, who has already clinched the championship, but big trouble here now.
Looks like some right front sheet metal being pushed in on that tire, and his Chevrolet Lumina now. Venturini will need to get that car to pit road, and this tremendous crowd enjoying the racing action. Some close calls from a couple of drivers over in turn 2. So we'll check in to see if he's going to be okay and what will need to be done to that race car when we come back with more from Atlanta Motor Speedway after this. Don't go away. We welcome you back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Beautiful afternoon for racing here in a championship weekend. The ARCA Championship being decided today and the Winston Cup title tomorrow. Getting set for more green flag racing action is Mike Wallace. Yes, he's the younger brother of Rusty and the older of Kenny Wallace. Leads him down on lap 101. Now getting a charge from Clifford Allison. But up high is charging Charlie Glotzback.
Boy, he just motors around up on the high side of the racetrack. Got a good jump, Jerry, and carried that momentum right into turn 1 on the outside, as I think Mike Wallace was protecting that inside groove from Clifford Allison. Didn't see Charlie coming up on the outside. Now Mike Wallace is racing for the lead, doing a good job of it, too.
Trying to hold on. The middle of the Wallace brothers from Missouri against the veteran Glotzback at 53 years of age. A lot of muscle under the hood of that Glotzback car, the Richard Childress engine.
Glotzback stays high, Wallace stays low, and look, he's going to take the position away. Good driving there by Mike Wallace. Boy, he didn't back off from the veteran.
Sure did. And the pair of Chevrolet Luminas running 1 and 2. The battle now is for 3rd spot as our cameras close in and give you a great shot of Dick Trickle trying to make a move with the Ford Thunderbird underneath at car number 12 of Clifford Allison.
That car still doesn't, the car doesn't seem to be working just the way it needs to in the center of the turn, Jerry. He had to back off, fall back in 4th place. Mike Wallace, I'm impressed with that young man. Staying out there, and he has on much older tires than do Glotzback and Dick Trickle. He and the car 04 of Mike Wallace and the car number 12 of Clifford Allison did not stop when the others did for fresh tires. And by golly, they're hanging right there with them. Normally, fresh tires will really help the car.
That time by, they were given the halfway mark just a lap ago. 102 laps complete in the 204-lap, 500-kilometer event here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The Motorcraft Fast Lube 500. Glad to have you with us. Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, and Jerry Punch are having a beautiful day for racing here in the heartland of Georgia.
Mark Reno Chevrolet out front. He has some sponsorship from Dale Earnhardt Chevrolet on that car.
Dale Earnhardt has been very helpful to Mike Wallace. Of course, Dale and Rusty Wallace, very good friends. Now we'll see if Clifford Allison can begin to move in a little bit on Charlie Glotzback. Clifford told me he had no idea he was going to drive in this race until about a week ago when they called him and said, come up to the shop and we'll be fitted for the seat. Suddenly he's down here running an ARCA race and running awfully well.
He certainly is. Well, there's some tight racing here a moment ago coming out of turn 4 as Tim Fedewa down on the inside. Ooh, boy, did they get close coming off of there. And that's the car number 75 of Bob Shack.
Exciting racing all around this 1.5 mile oval. Beautiful place here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Bruce Smith, Bob Harkin, but all their crew have done a tremendous job. This facelift ongoing here. They will add, we are told, possibly another 50,000 seats before we come back here next year. And the battle heats up, and whoa, a move down on the inside. That is Dave Mader, who is now 3 laps down as he tries to follow Dick Trickle in the car number 2. Trickle now making a move underneath young Clifford Allison.
Well, Allison hanging tight up there. Mader looking for a place to go. I think he's a little faster in the turns than is the car, the Ford of Trickle in car number 2. Trickle wiggles a little bit coming off the turn. And Allison holds on tight up there. Let's see as we go into turn 1 who's going to have the advantage. Allison not backing off. He's staying right up there like we saw Mike Wallace do a little bit ago. He's on the outside groove. Might have the advantage coming off the turn, but that power under the hood of that car number 2 might carry Trickle on by as he goes into turn 3. But again, Trickle has to back off a little.
And the 5th place car of Phil Parsons to the right of your screen. That's the Harry Melling Ford Thunderbird. He is sneaking in there. He is now going to go in there and make it a 3-way battle. 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Reminder now, the car number 11 is 3 laps down. That is Dave Mayer. He's a very quick car, but he had a tire problem and made a couple unscheduled pit stops. So he is not in the top 10.
Bill Parsons, who had somewhat of a penalty. He had to back off and go to the back of the pack. They posted him on the board a little while ago, and he knew what it's for, so he backed off and went to the back of the pack, and now he's fought his way back up to the 5th position. So Bill Parsons, very definitely a threat in this race, and Trickle's car, Jerry, is just not doing what it needs to do in the center of those turns.
Dick Trickle's car was handling so well early on, Dan. Remember, we talked about his tires coming in and running awfully well with the Goodyear Eagles. What could have happened to this car?
Well, in the early part of the race, he had a similar problem to what he has now. And then as they ran on for a while, yeah, it began to come in. The tires got heated up, and then he led the race for a long period of time. He has on a different set of tires. I would say that he has a set of tires that's not matched up as well as perhaps the other set was, and it's affecting in the center of the turns.
It's got to be a good omen for Phil Parsons and Gene Roberts, the crew chief. They will run this car for the full 29-race Winston Cup Tour in 1992. Not this particular car, but this operation to have this kind of beginning here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Phil running awfully well. Now here's the driver they're chasing. An impressive run by Mike Wallace at 32 years of age. He is running in only his second ever ARCA race and leading the way. Lots of racing laps yet to come as Mike Wallace leading it. Stay with us more after this. Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway, action heating up toward the front as Charlie Glotzback now has been able to move around Mike Wallace.
He just went in and caught him down on the inside. Wallace backed off a little bit for a slow car, it looked like, Jerry, and Glotzback went by on the outside as we saw him a little bit earlier in the race, riding that high side and has taken the lead. But Mike Wallace has done a great job up front there, holding off Charlie Glotzback for a long time. And again, he's on tires that's been on that car for quite a while. Glotzback has newer tires than does Mike Wallace.
Let's take a look once again, Dan, a minute ago and see what happened. You see Glotzback's car up high. He is the black car. Wallace is the white car on the inside in turn 4.
Wallace had to back off momentarily back there for the blue car that we saw there at first, and then right here he had to back off again. Got a little squirrely, and that allowed Glotzback to go by on the outside. There was plenty of room up there for him.
That was Keith Wade. They were trying to get around one of the cars, and of course Mike Wallace's inexperience hurt him a little bit there and cost him the lead.
Well, we might say inexperience, yes, to some degree, but also good smart driving, because he was in that heavy traffic, and he didn't need to take a chance of making an erratic move there that could really get him in trouble. So it was a good smart move.
Charlie Glotzback trying to pick up his second win of the 1991 season, having won at Talladega Super Speedway back in July in this car.
Here comes Dick Trickle in car number 2, trying to move on the car number 11 of Dave Mader. Mader, of course, trying to get up there and pass the leader so he can get one of his 3 laps back. Trickle's car still not working too well in the turns, and we pointed out several times. You can see how much Mader is able to pull away from him and pull up on Mike Wallace. And it could be, Jerry, that Mike Wallace's tires are beginning to go away, because those tires have been on there a long time and certainly getting heated up, and I don't think they're sticking in the corners quite as well as they did a little bit earlier.
Well, they're driving it in deep here in turns 1 and 2, and they're going to have some deep driving on Sunday night as NFL action comes your way on ESPN. It's from the House of Pain. The surprising Cleveland Browns take on their AFC Central rivals, the Houston Oilers. Quarterback Warren Moon leads what many consider to be the most explosive offense in the NFL. We'll see if the Oilers can wrap up that AFC Central title. That's coming your way on ESPN Sunday night at 8 p.m. Sergeant Charlie Glotzback coming your way right now. Past the halfway point, showing 119 laps in the books. That's Chevrolet Lumina, the Floyd Garrett Incorporated Chevrolet, with a 53-year-old veteran. He started 7th, dropped back early on, had some problems, had a couple of pit stops, now making his way toward the front in trouble over in turn 3.
Car number 77 of Mark Gibson down on the inside with a lot of damage, both to the front and the rear, Jerry.
That's a Charlie Newby-owned car. Mark Gibson, a former Rookie of the Year, finished 40th here in March, has had some good runs here, had a second-place finish at Atlanta a couple of years back.
And this just might be the break that Mike Wallace and Clifford Allison need, because they were coming up on a green flag pit stop if they didn't get a caution, and now they'll get that caution, be able to make the pit stop under yellow flag.
Here's the car number 98 coming on the pit road, Bob Denny from Concord. That's the Team Marketing Association Chrysler.
Well, the pit should have been closed, Jerry. I don't think they've got the caution car where they have it out on the track perhaps now, or will have when they come around, but the pits were closed, but maybe he needed to come in anyway, so that just means he'll go to the rear of the field when we restart the race. And here's Mike Wallace needing a pit stop, and boy, I'm sure he was glad to see that caution come out. He hates to see one of his fellow drivers have problems because it's a caution.
Ned, we are told the car number 98 was involved in the spin, so I guess he was allowed to come down pit road. They apparently had a tire going down or had some sheet metal involved, so we've just been handed a note that he was one of the 2 cars involved. But the most severe damage, of course, occurring for the car number 77 of Mark Gibson, his car coming to rest on the inside apron of turn 3. And the pits are open, and you'll see Mike Wallace, as you predicted, Ned, exactly. He will come down pit road, as will Charlie Glotzback. And it looks like possibly Dick Trickle will make an entry on the pit road. So a key pit stop. They can run about 62 to 64 laps. They're at 120 laps, so they'll have to make at least one more stop as the cars make their way down pit road. Let's go down to Benny Parsons.
Well, they're slowly coming down pit road because they can't pass the pace car. Here comes Glotzback driving in the pits. The 04 car, Mike Wallace, is already in the pits. On the left side on Mike Wallace, and Jack Van fell down, as you saw. Now the right sides are going on Charlie Glotzback's car. This is the GM Goodrich crew. Not the same guys that you see on Sunday, except, well, there David Smith is going on the left side with the Jack. Wallace is down. He's coming down pit road. Let's see if these fellows can get the car, the tires changed. They are making the chassis adjustment. They're having trouble on the left rear. They cannot get the lug nut on, and there goes Wallace and also Phil Parsons. Now Glotzback finally gets the car going and down pit road.
And the 2 car of Dick Trickle beat all of them out. It was a good pit stop by Mike Wallace and Phil Parsons. Mike Wallace having the help of his brother Rusty Wallace's Miller crew that hits Rusty on Sundays.
So under caution for the 7th time a day, a break for Mike Wallace, and somewhat of a misfortune for Charlie Glotzback. We'll have more green flag racing action from Atlanta after this. Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway, getting set for green flag racing action. Safety car pulls down off the racetrack, and Eddie Beerswell back on the lead lap. He did not pit. He was the only car on the lead lap that did not pit, so he will lead the charge down to the green flag as they come across for lap 127 here in the Motorcraft Fast Lube 500.
And Dick Trickle did pit. He's running in 2nd place right now. And 3rd is Mike Wallace. 4th, Phil Parsons. And Charlie Glotzback in 5th place as they come over turn 2 and head down the backstretch. Phil Parsons down on the inside, making it 3 wide. Boy, he is moving right down on the inside. Coming up on the car number 1 of Lee Raymond. 3 abreast coming off of turn 4. This is a good wide racetrack. It's one track that you can do that on and get away with it.
That's Lee Raymond in the orange and white with car number 1. Mike Wallace, the 04 car on the outside, and now Glotzback is pulled away by about a car length and a half. He's the black car just on the left side of the screen, and there's Phil Parsons in the car number 18 as Clifford Allison makes a move by in the car number 12 back there, the Revestis Buick.
Now Phil Parsons moving in on Mike Wallace. Phil has been up there in the top 5 most of the day. Had a little penalty while back and had to drop back to the tail end of the lead lap.
They are 3rd, 4th, and 5th, but they are chasing the car number 23. He is the leader. That's Eddie Beerswell, who did not pit it. Right behind him is Dick Trickle in the car number 2, and Trickle tries it on the inside coming out of turn 2. We'll see if he has enough muscle to get up beside him down the backstretch. There's Eddie Beerswell, nice-looking young man from San Antonio, Texas.
The Autofinders Oldsmobile he's driving, Jerry, and remember, he was a lap down at one time, got back in the lead lap, and the caution helped him then to move on around and get back in the lead lap, and now leading the race.
As a matter of fact, he was 2 laps down at one time. We just checked the scoring. He has come back from 2 laps down to be on the lead lap, and he last pitted under the 6th caution on lap 98, so he did not have to pit this last time when the other leaders pitted, so he can stay out there for at least probably another 40 laps or so before he'd have to come back in.
Well, I think everyone has to make at least one more pit stop, so that track position was very important, plus the television time that he gets here on ESPN. Here is Trickle now coming down on the inside in the Junior Johnson Ford, trying to take the lead.
Very close down in turn 1 as Trickle's car slides up. Beerswell trying to hold the position. And let's see who can get the bite coming off turn 2. The Auto Finders Oldsmobile for Beerswell seems to have the advantage. And you just see in the corner of your picture there, the car coming is Charlie Glotzback. And I think Trickle now is seeing that car coming. He's going to try to hold the inside group as there is Glotzback now diving into the picture. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Less than a car length apart in turn 4.
Trickle's car is just not turning in the center of the corner. I've said that so many times today, but it is not working the way that he needs for it to. And Glotzback going by on the outside. See Trickle's car drift up after Glossback goes by?
Indeed, Ned, and you got to wonder if he just needs a few laps to get those radial tires working into the racetrack. Let's check in with Benny Parsons. Benny?
Jerry, Ned, we've talked to the crew on Dick Trickle's automobile, and the car, Ned's right, the car is just pushing a little bit in the middle of the corner. He cannot get back on the gasoline like he wants to, and that's why he's having a problem in the corner, in the middle. They've adjusted on it, Ned, and it looks like they're going to have to adjust a little bit more.
Well, this is an R&D car, and that's why they have it here, is try to learn some things from it. And that's one of the things they'll have to learn, and here goes Charlie.
All the way downstairs, 3 stories on the bottom of the racetrack in turn 1, and Glotzback has taken the lead from Eddie Beerswell. And Dick Trickle says, well, I can do that. I'll go to the bottom of the track here in turn 3. And it makes it look easy. They pull 2 car lengths now on Eddie Beerswell there as they head for turn 4.
Now, Trickle has gotten right as close to Glotzback within 2 or 3 car lengths there. Now, that could help that pushing situation, especially in the draft, because normally that'll tend to loosen the car up a little bit when you're running real close to someone else, and that's what he wants to do right now, is stay as close to Charlie Glotzback as he can to loosen his car up.
Chevrolet and Ford, first and second here. Charging Charlie, they call him, at 53 years of age, and 50-year-old Dick Trickle right behind him in a Ford Thunderbird.
You know, Junior Johnson talked to me at Rockingham a few weeks ago and said that he was going to run this car in this race, and he said, who do you think I ought to get to drive it? And we talked about several different drivers, and he said, what about Dick Trickle? I said, hey, Dick Trickle is a good race driver. He said, I need somebody that will push the button and that can run with Charlie Glotzback. Said, we know what Glotzback will do. He said, I want this Ford to outrun that Chevrolet. Well, here they are running first and second. It looks like he made a good choice. The car's still not working quite as well as Trickle needs for it to, but certainly he has pushed the button today.
And Ned Glotzback went over to talk to Junior today. This is the same car I drove 3 years ago at Pocono when I finished second and finished third at Daytona with this same chassis. Actually, it was a Chevrolet Monte Carlo body on it. It's the best handling car I've ever driven. And you're putting Trickle in it, I'm going to have a tough day. Lots of racing action still to come your way here from Atlanta Motor Speedway as Charlie Glotzback leads them off. More after this. Hot and heavy racing action at the front of the pack at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Glad to have you back. Dick Trickle in the car number 2, the Motorcraft Ford. It's the Chevrolet Lumen on the outside, the Floyd Garrett Trucking Chevrolet. Charging Charlie Glotzback, trying to hold him off, but let's see if Trickle can make the move inside turn 4.
Well, his car is pinched down, and Glotzback looked like some smoke. Was that smoke, or was that something speedy drive? And looks like Trickle will make the pass this time. Glotzback got a little high, and I believe there is something wrong with his car, Jerry. He has slowed down. Glotzback might have an engine problem.
That's what happened to him back in the spring here. He cracked a piston with about 20 laps to go after dominating this event early this year. And now he is slowing and off the pace down the backstretch. A tough break for Charlie Glotzback in the Floyd Garrett Chevrolet Lumina.
Just as he was coming off of turn 4, a little puff of smoke. And he had to back off and left it for Dick Trickle up front.
Glotzback's 5th start in 1991. He's picked up a victory at Talladega. This was the R&D car for Richard Childress Racing, the spinning Clendenin engine. Now we'll see if Eddie Beerswell in the car number 23 can begin to make a move, see what he can do with Dick Trickle in the car number 2.
I tell you, Trickle running down on the inside of the track, he might have a problem. I don't know. He's just not driving the line that he needs to be driving around this track for a maximum speed. However, he's still holding Beerswell off, but Beerswell now really making a good run on him.
And Mike Wallace and Phil Parsons are both coming in a hurry. Let's see again what may have happened. Watch the inside of the car number 28. See if we can see something come out of the car, the exhaust.
Yes, you can see there, a puff of smoke as he came off of turn 4. Trickle was down on the inside of him. There's a little bit more smoke, and Trickle goes on and takes the lead. Glotzback takes it to the garage.
So Dick Trickle, our leader, running second. Eddie Beerswell now closing in a hurry. That's Mike Wallace on the right of your screen in the car number 04. And to the right of him, the red car is Phil Parsons. That's the Harry Melling Ford Thunderbird. Those are the front 4 cars here after 145 laps of 204, which comprise this 500-kilometer event. Lots of racing action yet to come your way from Atlanta Motor Speedway as Dick Trickle trying to pick up his first ever ARCA win. More after this. Track Facts are brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil.
This bottle holds compressed nitrogen. That's what these fellows use to change tires. Here's the impact wrench. Here's the regulator that regulates the amount of air going through the impact wrench. But look how exposed it is to anything that may fly around in the pits. A tire, a gas can. Let me show you what these fellows do to protect these gauges that are so important in regulating the air. Look at the piece they've made to go over. It screws on this air bottle, nitrogen bottle, and protects this gauge in case someone throws a tire or a gas can in the pits. It'll hit this piece of metal and not the gauge.
Well, indeed, Benny, safety not only a priority on the racetrack, but in the pits as well. There's the car number 2 everyone's chasing. That's Dick Trickle. Junior Johnson owned Ford Thunderbird, sponsored by Motorcraft. We mentioned Trickle's been around for a number of years. He raced an ARCA event in 1969. A little trivia, Ned. Dick Trickle, our leader, raced at ARCA at Daytona in 1969. He finished 14th. Who won that race?
How about Benny Parsons, wasn't it?
That's exactly right. Our own Benny Parsons won that race. Iggy Katona finished 2nd. Andy Hampton was 3rd. And one of the ARCA legends, Ramo Stott, finished 4th. Dick Trickle trying to get his first ARCA win here today. Is his car really handling very well, trying to move around Tim Fedewa, the car number 55, currently being shown in 13th position. Fedewa is 2 laps down.
Well, Trickle now running in the lap traffic. He is able to run a high line. That seems to work a little bit better with that tight chassis that he has. And the chassis has to feel good to him now, Jerry, that he doesn't have a lot of pressure from any of the front-running cars for the lead. That's the kind of a chassis you want once you get out front and are able to pull away a little bit. Eddie Beerswell still running in 2nd place. Phil Parsons 3rd. Clifford Allison 4th. And in 5th place now is Bill Venturini.
People might wonder what happened to the car number 04, Mike Wallace. Now, just moments ago, he had a problem. Apparently, the window net came loose, and he is driving with one hand on the wheel, and the left hand, he let the window net go. He just couldn't handle it anymore with that centrifugal force in the turns, and he brought the car down pit road.
You can see the window net blowing around there, Jerry, and I think he held it for a number of laps out there, and I think he ran long enough to get into a window where he could finish the race with the tank of fuel, and so now he does find himself a lap down. You can see them fastening the window net, the guy in the blue shirt on the left side, and they change the right side tires, put in the tank of fuel, so he's set to go the rest of the race. Others will have to make another pit stop, so, you know, if it goes green the rest of the way, he might still be in good shape.
Well, he is now being shown a lap down by virtue of that pit stop. Of course, still in 8th position. There are only 5 cars on the lead lap. I mentioned, of course, the leader, Trickle, then Beerswell, then Phil Parsons, into car number 12, of course, of Clifford Allison. And we'll try to let you take a look and see if you can find your favorite ARCA driver as the field comes by with our field snapshot. We hold the camera in position, and the cars come roaring off of turn 4 down to the start-finish line. And speaking of snapshots, we might mention this ARCA series is just so popular that they have their own ARCA trading card set. The card set just released 68 cards, the first edition. They only printed 10,000, according to ARCA president Bob Loga. He said a lot of the fans were asking how they could get those. They can write the ARCA office up in Toledo, Ohio, and ask for the trading cards, and they're available. But remember, there are only 10,000 sets printed for the 1991 ARCA series.
Now the 2nd place car of Eddie Beerswell, the Auto Finders Oldsmobile, coming into the pits. This is a scheduled pit stop for him, Jerry.
Yeah, he pitted on lap 98, Ned, so he would have to come in a little bit earlier than some of the other cars that pitted back on lap 122. The crew now going to work fuel only, no tires. They cleaned the windshield, and there's Eddie Beerswell, having finished 3rd at Texas back at the end of a little bit of a problem now.
Well, maybe he ran out of gas.
They're trying to push the car to get it refired, so a big problem now for Eddie Beerswell.
He just went a lap down. Dick Trickle just went by, and now he gets the car fired, but boy, that was a costly extra, at least 10 or 12 seconds. And even after the other cars make their pit stops, Trickle or whoever it might be, well then if they don't lose that kind of time, Eddie's going to find himself pretty far back in the field. He went 67 laps, which is just over 100 miles on this little over a mile and a half track.
We expect the leaders to be in about 15 to 18 laps. They should be pitting around lap 180 to 184. They pitted earlier at about lap 120. And there is Dick Trickle, the leader of the car number 2. Hoping to pick up his first ARCA win, 1991.
Phil Parsons now moves up to 2nd place. He was not too far behind Eddie Beerswell when Eddie made his pit stop. 3rd is Clifford Allison. Bill Venturini has moved up to 4th, and now in the 5th place, the car number 33 of Dale McDowell. Haven't said too much about McDowell today, but he's been consistently running up there with the front runners. He is now a lap down, though.
Okay, here's our leader, Dick Trickle, in the car number 2, the Motorcraft Ford Thunderbird. Back behind him was our pole sitter, Bob Schacht. Had his problems early on, currently being shown in 18th position in his Oldsmobile.
Led the early part of this race, then had a couple of unscheduled pit stops.
Next would be the car number 41 of Richie Petty. That's the Pontiac. That's the blue and white ribbon Pontiac. He's in 13th position, being shown 3 laps down. Second generation driver, the nephew of Richard Petty.
Then here comes Phil Parsons, car number 18, currently the second place driver. And that car is sponsored by Melling Automotive. And
there's Tim Fedewa in the car number 55, the ASA Rookie of the Year for 1991. He is in 9th spot. Good run for Tim in his first ever ARCA start, just being shown a couple of laps back in 9th position. Car number 65 in the 10th position.
that's Johnny Chapman, Stony Point, North Carolina.
The 1991 NASCAR Dash Series champion. Again, making his first ARCA and only his third ever Speedway start. Here's Lee Raymond, the 2-time ARCA Series champion in the Jim Coyle-owned Chevrolet. He is in 14th position, being shown as 4 laps back. Then comes the car number 9, being shown back in 19th position. That is Mike Davis, and that's one of the cars that's owned by Bob Schacht. Mike Davis, who is an exploration manager for an oil company out of Columbus, Georgia.
Then comes the car number 22 of Billy Thomas from Phoenix City, Alabama.
He's a promoter, East Alabama Motor Speedway. There's Dale McDowell. The young man had such a great run at Michigan. Started way back in 42nd spot on ESPN and finished second up at Michigan in August. Having a good run today in the car number 33. He is in 5th spot, showing 1 lap down.
And then the car number 8 of Bobby Dotter from Chicago, the Dotter and Davis Racing Chevrolet.
Then comes the car number 98. That is Bob Denny. Started driving years ago. And is back in his favorite profession of driving a race car in Concord, North Carolina, the Team Marketing Association Chrysler. Norman DeGree is the crew chief on that car. And we pan back to the car number 20 of Keith Wade from Quinton, Alabama.
He just came out of the pits, Jerry, just a couple of laps ago, making his last pit stop of the day.
He's in 20th position. Here's Clifford Allison, the Robestus Buick. That's the Bobby and Judy Allison-owned car, and a good run for Clifford here in his second ARCA start, showing in 3rd position.
And then here is Mike Wallace, former leader of the race. Mike running in 6th place right now, but he is a lap down after making a green flag pit stop. But remember, he is set to go the rest of the way. Dick Trickle and others up in front of him have another pit stop to make.
There's Eddie Beerswell from San Antonio, Texas, in 7th position. He has led for a period of time, having just made his pit stop, so he is set also in the car number 23. And the 1991 ARCA Series champion, Bill Venturini, at 38 years of age, in 4th place, coming all the way back up to 4th to being involved in a collision off of turn 2. See the damage in the front of his Chevrolet.
He's the last car on the lead lap. Here's car number 54, Jeff McClure, currently being shown in 17th position.
Making his first ARCA start. He runs selected Busch Grand National events over the past 2 or 3 years. And of course the car number 2, Dick Trickle, our leader, the ageless one, out of Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin, trying to get his first ARCA win after accumulating over 1,200 victories on the short tracks of the Midwest.
Bob Schacht there in the car number 75. As we said, several laps down as a result of some unscheduled green flag pit stops. Trickle sort of running his own pace now, Jerry. Picks the place he wants to run on the racetrack where that Ford works best, and it looks very smooth now.
And those are the cars that are currently running here at Atlanta Motor Speedway as we are closing in on the finish of the Motorcraft Lube 500. Back with more from Atlanta after this. Our championship weekend continues here at Atlanta Motor Speedway tomorrow with the Hardee's 500, the 29th and final event on the $18 million Winston Cup Tour. And yes, the Goodwrench Chevrolet driver, Dale Earnhardt, has to climb aboard, fire it up, and take the green flag to pick up his 5th Winston Cup title. And, of course, that $1 million purse prize to be delivered up there in the Waldorf Astoria next month. And our champion for the ARCA Series here in what we call Championship Weekend at Atlanta is Bill Venturini, the car number 25.
And he's about to go a lap down, Jerry. He is the last car on the lead lap, currently being shown in the 4th position, but Dick Trickle up there about to put a lap on him.
As Trickle begins to make a move on Venturini, we'll tell you exactly what happened. Venturini, the veteran, coming into Atlanta, had a 15-point lead. Now, he was trailing young Bobby Boucher by 95 points as they went into their next to final event, that at Texas World Speedway. Boucher had engine failure, so Venturini comes to Atlanta with a 15-point lead. Now, here in Atlanta, just about the midway point, Boucher has another engine failure and has to park it. And by that attrition, Bill Venturini becomes the 1991 ARCA Series national champion.
He was involved in an accident, not of his own making, a little later on, did some damage to his Nestle Quick Chevrolet, which perhaps has affected the aerodynamics of it, but he still, up until right now, has stayed in the lead lap. And here's one of the leaders coming into the pits. That's Phil Parsons coming into the pits for what should be his last pit stop, Benny.
You had to remember a few laps ago, Phil ran out of fuel on a caution flag, had to come in when he wasn't supposed to, was penalized, so the car not getting as good a fuel mileage as Dick Trickle's car. He's in the pit. He's not out of gas this time, and they're only putting fuel in. 1 can of gas. 1 can of gas. That's all they're going. Gene Roberts said go, and that's the way he goes, but he's got to be careful. Don't go too fast or he'll get penalized.
Well, Dick Trickle just went by, Benny, as he was in the pits, so Phil goes a lap down, but Dick Trickle has a pit stop yet to make himself. Clifford Allison coming into the pits. He had moved up to 2nd. Now he is in the pits. And it looks like, Benny, they're taking on right side tires on that car.
You're right, Ned. They are changing right side tires and also putting fuel in the car. They're having trouble on the right front. That's all they're changing is right sides, and Clifford is back on the racetrack.
And Jimmy Fitting and the Bobby Allison crew now working on Clifford Allison's Robestus Buick. That's a car that's driven this year some by Hut Strickland. And one car has slammed the wall hard in turn 4 and erupts in flames. It is the Phil Parsons car. The Harry Melling on Ford Thunderbird has hit the wall a ton. The entire right side of the car is caved in, and there are flames beneath the car. A tremendous lick up in turn 4 and a tremendously bad break for Phil Parsons.
He had just made the pit stop, and now Dick Trickle will be able to make his pit stop under caution.
Caution being shown in the field for the 8th time today. Let's take a look and see what happened. Looks like Phil Parsons had already tagged the wall with the smoke trailing from beneath the car, and he comes down and jams against the inside wall, and then you see that flame from inside the engine compartment of the car. He has no steering control. You see the left front tire is shoved back in. The right front is pinned by the sheet metal. And the safety crews are there on the scene immediately to attend to Phil Parsons.
Jerry, I heard a sound as if a tire blew. Now, whether it was when he hit the wall or just before, I don't know. But certainly Phil Parsons took a hard lick.
The 8th caution flag of the day flies for a violent impact up in turn 4 for that Ford Thunderbird of Phil Parsons. Safety crews are on the scene, and there's our leader, Dick Trickle. Less than 20 laps to go. We'll have more from Atlanta Motor Speedway and an update on Phil Parsons when we come back after this. Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway, still working the 8th caution flag of the afternoon for this violent impact just moments ago up in turn 4 of Phil Parsons in the Harry Melling on Ford Thunderbird. Now, he has already ricocheted off the outside wall, comes down and slams that inside concrete barrier separating pit road from turn 4. And Phil seems to be okay. The flames from inside the car. He has no steering control of the car whatsoever. Their car will come to rest down inside of pit wall. Now, Benny Parsons has caught up with Phil Parsons down at the hospital. Let's go to Benny Parsons. BP?
Phil, you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. Watch your head there, cameraman. Just a little bit sore under my arm here. I just want to thank Harry Melling and Gene, all the guys that give me a heck of a car. Didn't look like we could beat him on the racetrack, so I was hoping we could beat him in the pits. I don't know where we were after we made our pit stop. I was just pedaling as hard as I could, and I guess I must have ran over something and cut the right front tire down because the thing just went absolutely straight in the wall.
You just had made your pit stop and went around the apron. You probably got some debris in the apron, cut the right front, you think?
I wouldn't doubt it. As try as they might, it's hard to keep the apron real clean because the stuff, comes on down from the bank. But, they do the best they can, and it's unfortunate I got us this time. Maybe it won't next time.
Get in there and let them check you, okay?
Now he just slams the wall, and he's worried about our cameraman backing into a cable. That's the courtesy of that young man, Phil Parsons. I'm sure, hopefully he'll be okay. He'll go in and get checked out there by some of the crew. And while they were working to clean the track, here's Dick Trickle getting serviced, our leader, by Tim Brewer and the rest of the Junior Johnson Budweiser crew that will service the Jeff Bodine car tomorrow. And Trickle has been serviced, 4 fresh tires. He's down and away. And Ned, he is shown now on a lap to himself.
Everybody else had made green flag pit stops excepting Bill Venturini, and we saw him go a lap down on the racetrack. So now, yes, he is in a lap by himself, so he can just ride out there free. Not too many more laps to go.
Laps are winding down. 204 laps comprise this 500-kilometer event for 312 miles. Glad to have you with us. Dick Trickle now will lead him down to the green flag. Once again, just 14 laps remain.
And the battle is going to be for second place. Those 2 white cars, Mike Wallace in car 04 and Eddie Beerswell in car 23, second and third at the moment, each a lap down. But they'll be battling hard for that second position. Both of them had made green flag pit stops and were hoping that it'd go green the rest of the way so that Dick Trickle would have to make a green flag pit stop, but that didn't happen. So now they're a lap down, but battling hard for second.
Coming up out of turn 4. Laps are winding down. Mike Wallace at 32 years of age. Now, Beerswell is also 32, but he has a lot more super speedway experience, having driven in the Winston Cup rank for a couple of years. If I'm not mistaken, this is only Mike Wallace's 4th ever time on a super speedway. He ran a couple of Busch Grand National events, had a 16th place finish at Charlotte this year, so not a bad start for him, but doesn't have the experience on the high banks that Beerswell has.
He has run a very good, impressive race here. Both of those drivers have today, but Mike Wallace, with the limited experience that he has, I have been really impressed.
And yes, once again, he is the younger brother of Rusty Wallace, who won a Winston Cup championship here at this racetrack, and the older brother of Kenny Wallace, the accomplished Busch Grand National regular who will run for the Winston Cup Rookie of the Year next year.
Still battle for second, and up front there you can see those 2 red cars momentarily almost going side by side with Bob Shack, who is several laps down up there with Dick Trickle. So this is the battle for second and third. No battle for first, but a good one for second.
Chevrolet, the car number 04, Chevrolet Lumen, and the Oldsmobile of Eddie Beerswell.
Mike Wallace doing a good job of protecting the preferred line, which going into the turn is about the center. And then, of course, as it comes off the turn, they drift out next to the wall.
We mentioned Mike had limited speedway experience. He qualified on the front row here back in March for this Atlanta event and was running 4th when he had motor problems about halfway through the race. So he had already adapted pretty well on this 1.5 mile track. How tough is this track? You had to learn to drive. It's mostly turn. Of the 1.5 mile facility, 1 mile is in the turn.
Well, it is a tough racetrack to drive, Jerry, because there is so much turn here, and it's very tough on the suspension of a car and also on the driver, particularly the neck of the race driver. You're in turn so long and so much centrifugal force and a lot of G-force as well, and it really puts a lot of strain on your neck muscles.
You got to wonder what Rusty Wallace and possibly some of the more experienced people would be telling Mike Wallace right now as they're on the radio probably talking to him as spotters. And what would you be saying to this young man?
Hold that line. Just drive your own race. Don't pay a lot of attention to that guy behind you. If you drive the line that runs best for you, where the car feels best, just drive that line. Let him worry about getting around.
Well, I would think that Dick Moroso is going to be awfully proud of Mike Wallace. He has tapped this youngster to be his driver next year on the Busch Grand National Tour. They will run Oldsmobiles and run all the Busch events next year, as well as possibly 5 Winston Cup events, in lieu of maybe running down the road for Rookie of the Year in Winston Cup racing in 1993.
Gary, one characteristic of a driver that don't have a lot of experience is to look at that rearview mirror. It's just something that you can't help but do. And, you know, you want to know where your competition is, but don't dwell on it. Again, drive your line and let him make the moves that he needs to make to get around you. And normally, as equal as those 2 cars seem, normally it would be awfully hard for the car behind to get around.
There's the car number 37 and 8. Bob Donner. Those are 6th and 7th place on the field. His daughter, the 3-time ARCA champion, the veteran racer, makes the move inside and will take the spot away. He's now in 6th position. The car number 37, of course, that is Ben Hess from Toledo, Ohio. Now lives in Mooresville, North Carolina. The Target Expediting Oldsmobile Jim Spicuzza on the machine. And Ben, of course, having won this year in the season opener at Daytona. The ARCA 200 down there.
Well, we're getting closer to the end.
And there's Clifford Allison. Good run for Clifford. And you remember the fact that a couple weeks ago he had no idea he'd be driving this race. And Bobby Allison said, hey, that he talked about it and said Clifford really needed some Speedway experience. And come Sunday afternoon of this week, they're going to cut all that Buick sheet metal off anyway, probably because they're going to be changing these cars around for the 92 configuration. So they got the cars sitting around the shop. And why not let Clifford get a shot at some Speedway experience?
And he's being shown as 2 laps down, Jerry, but that's because he made a green flag pit stop. And here's a crash. Eddie Beerswell, who was running in 3rd place, has spun around and has touched the outside wall. A lot of smoke coming from his Autofinders Oldsmobile. Tough break for Eddie Beerswell, who had run such a good race here today. Looked like he might have blown an engine, Jerry.
It is a tough break as the car comes to rest just prior to the opening of pit road there. Those large tractor tires protecting the end of pit road. And yes, the caution flag will fly for the 9th time today at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Let's see if we can just catch what happened. His car's already spun backwards, and now it's up against the outside wall.
I think the engine blew going into turn 3, and he got in his own oil, spun him around backwards, didn't have a lot of control of it, slid into the wall, and then came down on the inside. Here's another look at it. As you can see, he was getting crossways and then sliding backwards, hitting on the driver's side. Not too hard into the wall, so, but the engine apparently let go going into the turn, so too bad this near to the end of the race.
Now, he's impressed a lot of people with his run here today and his drive. He's talking to the safety crews there, and the Atlanta South crews they have here at Atlanta Raceway are among the finest in the country. They have some great crews all around at all the Winston Cup and ARCA tracks, but the crew here is one of the best. Under caution for the 9th time today, as laps are winding down, just a few laps to go before possibly Dick Trickle can go to victory lane for the first time ever in ARCA racing. Back in a moment. Back at Atlanta Motor Speedway, 201 laps being shown as complete of the 204 which comprise this event. The caution being shown for a crash involving the car number 32, Eddie Beerswell, 32-year-old driver from San Antonio, Texas, having climbed out of the car and waved, and after having such a great run here, what a nice young man. He and his father, Don Beerswell, epitomizing what this racing is all about with a great attitude. And of course, the safety crew, safety cars having the field in tow down the backstretch are trying to get the track clear so they can finish this race under green flag.
So they've given them one more lap, Jerry. They're scheduled to get the green the next time around as this safety vehicle now comes off the track. So apparently we're going to get a green flag.
And the flag stand getting ready to unfurl that green flag for the final time this afternoon. They will complete lap 202 on the way by. So it'll be green, white, and checkered flag. Dick Trickle at 50 years of age. He turned 50 just last month in October. Having been born in 1941, has picked up a lot of wins. Now going to get his first ARCA victory if he can just hold on for a couple more laps.
And Mike Wallace with Bill Venturini right on his back bumper there, a lap down. And also the car number 33 of Dale McDowell, also just one lap down. He's being shown in 4th place. Trickle, all he has to do is just ride around there and hope to stay out of trouble while those others battle for second.
The battle should be between Mike Wallace and Bill Venturini. Wallace, the white car on your screen. Venturini, the car up high.
Yeah, he went very high, Jerry, and coming off of turn 2 and lost a lot of distance to Mike Wallace. And I'm sure Mike Wallace looked up in his mirror and said, boy, that looks good to me, as he's pulling away. They have some quick drive up there in turn 3 where Beerswell blew the engine of his car, so all of them tiptoed through there. They come around and get the white flag.
White flag for Dick Trickle at 50 years of age, and they're shuffling it up behind Trickle. Trickle out there, no traffic in front, must ride for about a mile now to pick up his first ARCA win on the final lap. There's the Ford Thunderbird driver, Motorcraft sponsorship, Junior Johnson R&D car. And Dick Trickle will take it home to victory lane. Less than a mile to go now for Trickle as he heads for turn 3.
You know that he's driving careful through that quick drive this time. No traffic to contend with.
Trickle tiptoeing now out of turn 4. And the battle for second spot as Trickle comes across and takes the win. And Mike Wallace will finish in second position. Great effort for Mike Wallace, the young man out of Missouri, and Bill Venturini wins the championship. Bill Venturini, 38 years of age from Chicago, Illinois, picks up his second ARCA Series title.
Whoops. Gave a little bit of a bump to Bob Dotter there. Bob, of course, from Chicago also, so maybe he's just giving his neighbor a friendly bumps.
And there's a Dick Trickle crew. Junior Johnson, the legendary car owner, he's got to be pretty happy with his R&D program and its first outing here in ARCA competition. We'll hear from the winner, Dick Trickle, and possibly the champion, Bill Venturini, when we come back to Atlanta Motor Speedway after this. The Motorcraft Fast Lube 500 is history at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And yes, Bill Venturini is a 1991 Series champion. Dick Trickle takes the win, leading 112 up 204 laps. We hope you've enjoyed today's Speedwall coverage of the Motorcraft Fast Lube 500, brought to you by Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. And by Quaker State. The Big Q is One Tough Motor Oil. Let's go down to Benny Parsons where they're celebrating in Victory Lane. Benny?
Jerry, normally we have one happy winner in Victory Lane. Today we got two, but first let's talk to Dick Trickle. The car ran well.
Well, so number one, I want to thank Junior Johnson and Tim Brewer for considering me and having enough faith in me to come and drive the car for them. It was like a pat on the back after everything else been going on. The cars, or the guys, that he pulled out of the shop to work on the car just did a super job for me. And, through the week, anything I want to change. And then we had the 11 car crew us, at pit stops, and so I had some super pit stops. They told me, if you're going to drink your water, drink it fast or you won't get it down. I was on the back straightaway still drinking my water after pit stop.
Okay, Dick, shut up. We got to talk to the champion. You've been a champion before, haven't you?
A few times.
All right, a champion, ARCA champion 1991, Bill Venturini. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Is that all you got to say? You're not happy or anything?
Well, of course I'm happy. I wish I would have won the race instead of finished third, but we had some problems today. Got involved in a couple wrecks and still finished third, so I'm happy with that. I'm glad we won the championship.
1992, you're going to be back to try to again to repeat?
Oh, definitely. I hope that Nestle and Amico will be with me. I'm working on it and hope that next year we'll come and defend our championship again.
Hey, I got two guys down here. Where do you go? I did have two guys, Jerry. Back to you.
Well, the top 10 as Dick Trickle takes the win. Mike Wallace is second. Venturini finishes third. Dale McDowell fourth. Bob Dotter in fifth place. 6 through 10. Ben Hess, Clifford Allison, Tim Fedewa, Richie Petty, yes, and Johnny Chapman finishes in 10th spot. Lots of action coming your way tonight. CFA college football, the Razorbacks and the Aggies live at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And following that, when we go out to Jack Murphy Stadium, BYU and San Diego State decide who goes to the Holiday Bowl. And, of course, a lot of racing action to come your way tomorrow. The Hardee's 500 Championship Weekend continues. For Benny Parsons and Ned Jarrett, I'm Jerry Punt saying congratulations to Dick Trickle and Bill Venturini. So long from Atlanta.